This will be a reassembly of a Stihl MS461 low wire saw for a client I'll refer to as JK. This saw is under warranty and was mashed and is brought in for repair. The main item being replaced is this one. This is the fuel tank. This is an assembly. Part number 11283508050. And this is a Stihl part number. This is all Stihl OEM, and we'll review just exactly what comes with that part number. With the part number we just stated, with this, I'll call it a kit. The cap comes. This is a fuel tank kit. You get a new fuel cap. You get the green fuel line, obviously the carburetor studs, the fuel tank vent, and the tank protector and the screw. All this comes with the part number that I just called off to you. Also the OEM decals. What's not included is the trigger, the housing, the linkage, and obviously everything else that I did not mention. So you get the tank, the fuel line, carb studs, tank vent, the cap, and the tank protector. So all that comes with the part number we just mentioned. Alright, the first step here is to install this. Obviously, if you've taken this apart, you understand how it goes back in. But the tank will go in this direction. We'll feed the wiring harness through first, then the pulse line, and the intake boot. And take your time. We'll note that with this part number I just mentioned, transfer everything. There is not a fuel filter that comes with it. You'll transfer these two O-rings off of your old tank if they're salvageable. If not, you need to obtain these two O-rings, part of the anti-vibe system, if you will. Transfer all those and your fuel filter. Now the first step is to get your wiring harness started through the hole on the far left and get the grommet installed in there. I believe we can see that. Get a pointer here. We got our grommet installed here and the wiring harness coming through. Next we'll get our intake and pulse line started through. A little trick. This is a 9/16 socket. You notice it fits right in here. You tuck the intake manifold into this and slide the tank assembly right onto up in the power head of the saw. And it will poke through like this. And the pulse line just kind of slips through here. Obviously we've got to pull everything in until it pops out into place. Alright, once the intake manifold, pulse line are in and the tank is slid all the way forward into position, we'll begin installing the T27 torque screws. I believe there are 4 that go into the AV mounts, beginning right here with the first one. Right here is the second one. We'll go right here. The second screw, I left out that supporting washer right there that goes in that area, so don't forget that. Alright, third and fourth AV screws here and here. Alright, these caps go in all the AV bushings. This keeps the bushing spread out and keeps sawdust, oil, etc. out of the holes. So they go here, here, and there's one more on the other side. We'll also note that the chain catcher goes over the top of that AV plug right there. We'll also note that on this particular AV mount it uses the longer screw, which will protrude somewhat inside the airbox, carburetor box area. The smaller of the AV plugs goes here in the small AV. Inside the intake boot there is a small brass ring. Goes inside here. There are curvatures to go either side of the carburetor mounting post. This is the next item. In my disassembly notes, it is labeled top on top of this ring. It was upside down. Obviously assembled by a human. I'm going to reassemble it just like I disassembled it. As I tore this unit down, I took video notes as I disassembled of the things that I found. Now that was pretty interesting. It'd be interesting to those of you that do this for a living. And that's what we look like at this stage. We'll begin the throttle and trigger assembly at this time. And using the proper size punch, we'll drive out the pin from the old tank that retains the trigger and the spring within the housing. As we gently bumped it out, we'll leave it somewhat in and pull the remainder out with the pliers, keeping note of the spring and its orientation with the trigger. This is how that the trigger and spring should look. And you just lay this down into your new tank assembly and drive the pin gently in. We'll attempt to show this real time. So here's our trigger. Plastic dead blow hammer. And now I'm just flush. I want to take the punch and push it on through. See how that action works there. Take the punch and I'm going to make it just flush where we have equidistance of pin on both sides of this piece here.